Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. So this mini episode is really inspired by several of the conversations that I've been having in my private practice coaching. And this concept of stair-stepping your way to change, stair-stepping your way to maybe acting and taking different action than you historically did or do. So for example, one of my clients, we've been talking a lot about prospecting and outreach and really just pitching. So this really applies if you're in fundraising or do any sort of pitching, right? And one of the things that she's talked about is this piece of feeling not quite ready. And everyone is guilty of this. So when we feel not quite ready, we go into research mode. We go into passive action mode. So for example, instead of scheduling a meeting or scheduling the follow-up meeting, we like to come up with lots of reasons why. Let me do that next week. Oh, probably now is not a good time for them. All that, it seems reasonable, those excuses, but they really are excuses. Okay. And that can be really normal and part of habit, right? So I can imagine in my work, there's been so many times that I've sent out proposals to a potential client, to a potential organization or business to work with, and I have a couple options. I send the proposal out, and if I don't hear back, I can just let that be. I can just be like, well, they'll contact me if they're interested, right? Or I can follow up, and I can say, what'd you think? Do you want to schedule a follow-up call? Let's schedule a meeting to talk about it. But in doing that, I'm putting myself on a platter for somebody to say no, yes, or we have more questions, or we didn't understand. You're putting yourself on a platter for basically rejection or judgment. And in an effort to avoid all of those things, it's really, really common and really, really understandable why we would avoid that and instead say something like, again, well, they'll send me an email when they're ready. If they have any questions, they'll call me. And that is a really, really passive way to build a profitable business or organization. Okay. So if you have a funder meeting and the meeting ends up with let's put a pin in it. Let's think about it. So great to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Your next step is doing that all over again and having the meeting again. I will say this as many times as it takes. True outreach results in a yes or a no. If you didn't hear a yes or a no, then you're not done. You're not done. So if I'm sending out a proposal to somebody and I just don't hear back, that's actually not really a no. Not unless I decide, okay, once I follow up X amount of times, we're going to call that a no. But if I have not followed up and followed up in different ways, okay, followed up actively, then I'm just copping out. And I understand why I'm doing it. And I can have grace and warmth and understanding for why I might try and avoid doing it. I totally get that. And in order to do something different or to get a different result than you've been getting, you actually have to take different action. So one of the things that I put into practice now is that follow-up process. That's something that I do. Okay, that is something that I do. That's something I teach my clients to do as well. So if you have an in-person meeting and their reaction is, let's think about it, then what I want you to say is, great. I'm going to, let's put coffee on the calendar for next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, right? Book the follow-up meeting. Book the follow-up meeting. It makes me think of a couple of different things. For a while, I was going, made it a point to do some skincare stuff, and I was getting some facials regularly. And one of the things I noticed is I got the first facial and she said, on the way out, let's book your next one. Come every I think it was 4 to 6 weeks. So we booked the next one. And sure enough, I came. And I did it 3 times. And on the 3rd time, there was a reason. It was like, well, I don't know if I was going out of town or I didn't have my schedule, or there was a reason why. And I didn't book the follow-up. Okay. This was a year ago. And guess what? Guess who has not been back to that lovely, lovely esthetician to get a facial, right? To have any follow-up. I didn't secure it then. And that was it. Now, had we put it on the books, you probably would have had me back. Okay. It's the same thing. Like, book the follow-up in the actual intro process. That's like a side note, but worth noting. The other piece of it is just reminding yourself, until I get a yes or a no, I'm not going to hammer this person, but until I get a yes or a no, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. And that's okay. This is a process depending on whether you're fundraising or whether you're pitching your services or growing your brand or business. This process stair steps. And the one thing we were talking about, and I've talked to several clients about this recently, is feeling like you're prepared for those meetings, waiting to feel prepared so that you can not feel uncomfortable. And that's the wrong way. That is the wrong way. If you're waiting to feel like you know what to say, you have exactly the right things to say so that it dials down that nervousness and you feel like, oh, I know what to say, so I feel less uncomfortable. I haven't found that that's a great way to build a business. I wait, or I don't wait anymore. I just allow the discomfort. I allow the nervousness to be there. Just like, okay, I'm a little nervous going into this meeting, or maybe I'm a lot nervous. Or going to the other side, the sting of a no, the sting of a rejection, the sting of somebody saying, huh? I didn't really understand what you were saying, right? Those pieces. Think about those for a minute. Like, we are so badly avoiding those stings, and they're not really stings. They're data, they're information, and they're also building the muscle of you getting in front of people talking about the work you do. You will never build the muscle of doing that by yourself, alone, with your colleagues, or just solopreneuring. You just won't. The only way to build the muscle, we're actually talking about what you do, advocating for yourself, putting yourself on a platter, saying, this is what I would love for you to be involved with. This is how you can fund a program. This is how you can purchase one of our service packages. The only way to do that is by doing it. And through the doing it is where I found the discomfort dials down, because like anything, the first time you ride a bike, it's pretty choppy. The 100th time you ride a bike, it's okay. It's okay. It feels pretty easy, right? It's funny that I just gave you the bike analogy as somebody who fell off a bike as an adult and broke their wrist. Here's the thing. Sometimes you do fall off the bike even when you know how to ride the bike. You've been riding the bike for a really long time. And sometimes you fall off. You get the no, you get the rejection, you get the furrowed brow from somebody. It's fine. It's fine. You get back up off the bike. You're here because you have a purpose. You have a heart-centered calling that you want to make the world better. You want to make your community better. You want to be a part of a change, right? You don't get to accomplish any of those things by not putting yourself out there, by not taking daring action, by staying in passive action and kind of quiet, right? The two go hand in hand. You want to really make sure that when you start thinking, I can't do X, Y, or Z because I'm not ready. I can't do X, Y, or Z because I just need to tweak that deck a little more. Or I just need to tweak the headline of this, or the font of that, or the design of that. You got to really ask yourself, like, is that true? Or am I just avoiding putting myself out there and making the call, or sending the text, or sending the email? Because I'm going to bet 99% of the time it's that. Maybe 1% of the time you got a little work to do. That's okay too. So that's what I want to leave you with for today's mini episode. Go out, take one thing, do one piece of daring out action today. One piece of outreach that has you getting a yes or getting a no. And come find me, come hang out with me over on Instagram @Splendid Consulting, and let me know what you did. I would love to know. I'll see you next time. Like what you're hearing and want to take this to the next level? I want to invite you to go to purposeandprofit.club to watch my free class. In there, I will tell you the number one thing that's keeping your nonprofit or social impact business stuck and what to do instead. Go to purposeandprofit.club. Think you've reached out to everyone in your network? Are you out of ideas to get noticed and get funded? I hear you. That's why I'm giving you a chance to steal my prospect list. Yes, you can generate leads for your nonprofit or impact-driven business. Grab my mini training and list delivered to your inbox instantly. Go to splendidcourses.com/prospect.